Good morning. Today we're going to be doing simple interest. And simple interest is earned only on the principal or the original amount deposited in the account, or it's on money that you borrow. It is added over time, and time is always written as years. So when you have a loan, if you get it for half of a year, then it would be, you would use the decimal form of that, which would be 5/10. Okay, and it is always written as a percentage. All right, so here's our formula for simple interest. Interest is equal to our principal, which is P. Okay, you guys see where it is filled in over on the side. Okay, so interest is equal to principal, which is however much money you put in initially or that you borrow initially, times our rate. Our rate is our percent, okay, but it's our percent. Okay, so rate is our percent as a decimal, okay, has to be in decimal format. Okay, and then our T time, which is always in years. So our interest is equal to principal times our rate times time in years. Okay, so let's take a look at a few examples. Okay, a $900 deposit for 20 years at a simple interest rate of 4%. Okay, so we just said interest is equal to principal times rate times time. Okay, so we just plug these numbers in. We're trying to find, first of all, it's telling us to find how much interest. Okay, so interest, our principal is our initial amount, which is $900. Okay, rate has to be written as a decimal, so 4%. Remember, when we're changing percentages into decimals, we take it, the decimal, and we have to move it over 2 places and add our 0 at the beginning. Okay, so this would be 400 or 0.04, and then times time in years. Okay, our time in years right here says 20 years, so times 20. Okay, then we're just going to take and multiply these three numbers together. Alright, so we have $900 times 4% times 20 years. Okay, so this is our interest amount. So our interest is $720. Okay, our total value is where we take our interest amount and add it back to our principal amount. So our principal was $900. 900 plus our interest, which is 720, which is going to tell us how much total we have down. So we're going to add $900, and we have $1,620. Okay, our first example. Here's our second example, a $5,600 deposit for 45 years at a simple interest rate of 3%. Okay, first thing again, we're trying to find our interest. So interest is equal to 5,600 is our principal. Okay, our interest rate is 3%, which is, we write it 0.03, writing it as a decimal, and then we've got 45 years. Okay, so now we just take and multiply these three numbers together. So 5,600, 5,600 times 3% times 45. Let's try that again. Okay, hit a button and it needs to. 5,600, 3%, $7,560. Okay, and now to find our total value, we take that, add our initial amount, which was $5,600. Okay, so I'm going to add $5,600. We get $13,160. Okay, so let's look at our next example. Danielle borrows $2,500 from the bank at 6% simple interest for 5 years. How much is she going to pay in interest? Okay, we're going to set this up the same way. Interest is equal to, we have our principal of $2,500. Our rate is 6%, and it's for 5 years. Okay, and the question is asking us just how much is she paying in interest? Okay, so then we just multiply it. 2,500 times 6% times 5. So she is going to pay $750 in interest. Okay, let's look at our next one. Terry invests $6,000 in a CD at an annual interest rate of 7%. What will his investment be worth at the end of 6 months? Okay, 6 months. Remember, there's a total of 12 months in a year, so 6 months added 12 is half of a year. Okay, divide it out if you need to. Okay, so we're going to set this up. Our interest is 6,000 times 7% times half of a year. Okay, when we multiply this out, so 6,000 times 7% times half a year, $210. Okay, but it doesn't ask us how much is he going to have in interest. What will his investment be worth? So we're going to add in our initial $6,000. Okay, and we get $6,210. Okay, so these are all where we are looking for interest. Now, sometimes when we are working with simple interest problems, we're given interest and other information, and we're being asked to find either principal, rate, or time. Okay, so we have to be careful with what our problem is asking us and what we're given. I've given you guys 3 additional formulas to help you when you're finding these. Okay, so we can find principal by taking out interest and dividing by our rate times time. We can find the rate by taking our interest and dividing by principal times time, and we can find our time by dividing interest by principal times rate. All I did was take the initial formula and just divide it by the numbers that I needed to, so that principal, rate, and time would be by themselves on one side of the equal sign. Okay, so gonna go forward. Calculator's in the way. Alright, so here's one problem. We have an $800 deposit for 24 months, earned $200 in interest. So I'm trying to find my interest rate. Okay, so we just said in order to find the interest rate, okay, right here we're going to do our interest amount divided by principal times our time. So interest divided by principal times, let's put a T. Okay, so we just plug our numbers in. So our interest amount was $200. So 200 divided by 24 months. Remember, we always have to write it in years. So 24 months would be 2 years. Okay, and $800 was what we started with. So 800 times 2. So I'm going to take and multiply first. Okay, so 800 times 2 is 1,600. So I'm going to do 200 divided by 1600. And that gives me, okay, and remember to turn this into a percent, and you have to move my decimal over 2 places to the left, or to the right. So 1, 2 would give me 12.5%. Okay, now total value would be adding my $200, which is my interest, to my principal of $800, which is $1,000. Okay. All right, so our next question, a $1,595 deposit for 10 years at a simple interest rate of 8%. Okay, so this one's asking for interest. So I've got my interest is equal to $1,595 times 8% times 10 years. Okay, and then I just multiply this out. And I get $1,276 in interest. Okay, to get my total value, I'm adding my initial to my interest amount. Oops. Let's try that again. $1,595 plus $1,276. And that gives me $2,871. Okay? Here's our next example. A deposit earns $102 after 36 months at a simple interest rate of 5%. So we are trying to find our principal. Okay, and remember we said we can find our principal by taking interest and dividing by rate times time. Okay, so principal equals interest divided by rate times time. So my interest amount is $102. Okay, my rate is 500. I'm sorry, still writing it wrong. Let's try that again. 500, and I've got 36 months, which remember it has to be in years. Okay, so now I'm going to multiply first. So 3 times 500 gives me 1,500, and then I'm dividing 102 by that. 102 divided by 15. Let's try that again. 1,500 gives me 680. So my total, so my principal is 680. Now it's asking for time, and it tells us up here it's 36 months, which is 3 years. Okay. Total value, I'm going to have to add my principal with my $102 interest, which gives me $782. Okay, there's some more examples. I would like for you guys to do these on your own and submit those as part of your assignment today. If you do have any questions, just send me a message and let me know, or you can join me in Zoom at 2:15. See you later.